All right, so Vesta in the first house. Vesta, if you have Vesta in your first house, is really for whatever reason, and you're not trying to be selfish, but for whatever reason, you look into yourself. You try to find out what makes you tick, who you are, who am I, why am I in the way I am, why am I special, why was I chosen? Like you are, it's like a lot of self discovery, a lot of things about your self importance, your self identity, and you are compelled to find this out. The thing though, you got to be careful of, because what you're sacrificing, or what I guess your weakness is about this, is that you are not incorporating other people into it. And other people could probably help you to identify who you are. However, you don't allow them in because you're so focused on yourself. So if you want to balance this out, allow other people to come in and stop sacrificing your personal relationships with other people by trying to find who you are. That's the in the first house. Now Vesta in the second house. Vesta in the second house, you are strongly compelled and dedicated, and you're making it your life mission to always have money and security, and you always looking for a way to get money and saving money and building. You're not only doing this for yourself, you're also doing it for the people you love, like your family, your wife, your husband, your children, the people you care about. The only thing about that is where your weakness or what you're sacrificing, and you're sacrificing in your own personal comfort so you could get the fancy car and the house and all of these things that you work every day for, like your life purpose. Like you gotta find it, this financial stability and everything, and then you're sacrificing enjoying it. You need to enjoy it, but you feel that it's no time for comfort, it's no time to enjoy these things because you're constantly building. So invest in your second house. You need to learn to balance by obtaining these things and securing things for your family, but also you taking the time to enjoy them and enjoying them with your family, so that you don't be like constantly thinking about money all the time. That's in the second house. Vesta in your third house. Now, Vesta in your third house, you're constantly learning and gathering information. Like you feel you're compelled to read a lot of books about a lot of subjects, not one subject in particular. Just like you're constantly learning and gaining information and trying to figure out how can I use this information in my everyday life. But the thing that you're sacrificing when you try to explain the information. You get kind of choked up, you get kind of confused, you get kind of lost in your words, and it's not really making sense. And then you like kind of abandon what you learned, and you're like, I know this, I know how to say this, I know how to do this, but then you're like kind of messing yourself up. So what you need to do is, once you learn this thing, relax and know that you learned it. Know that you have this knowledge in it, and woosah and be comfortable in what you have learned, and all the knowledge you have gained. And try to practice on communicating and saying things that you have knowledge of. Don't try to use big words or anything like that, or anything you can't pronounce, or anything that you can't easily explain, of the knowledge that you have gained. Hey, that right. All right, that's Vesta in the third house. Vesta in your fourth house. I have Vesta in my fourth house, so yeah, I'm talking to myself. But you are dedicated to your family and to your job, on taking care of the family, taking care of the house, making sure you always have a secure home for yourself. If you have children, your family, your husband, your wife, your grandparent, whoever it is, like that, you are serious. And then you also, of course, anything where we have our Vesta in, we think other people should be as serious as we are. But when you have it in your own house, on your own birth chart in that area, it's like at home, like you would do whatever it takes to solidify your home, and make sure you always have a home, or a place to stay. You always looking for that. And then the people in your house, you're very serious about doing your sense of responsibility and your duty. So if you're a parent, you making sure that you're following the rules. As a parent, you're compelled to do this. The sacrifice, the weakness, your own personal freedom and your own personal choices, because you don't have any freedom for yourself. You don't have, when I say you don't have freedom for yourself, I'm talking about you don't have, it's like you put yourself on the back burner, like, okay, I will eventually be okay, but I got to make sure I got to hold these people down in my family, and I got to hold them down. I'll be all right. I feel good if they, no, you're not really feeling good, because if you didn't have to, like, ask yourself this question, like, if I didn't have to hold this family down, if I did not have to do this, like, what would I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with myself, for myself? So it's difficult to answer that, because you'll go right back to the sense of you're compelled to do it, and you lose, and you're sacrificing, and your weakness is losing what you want to do for yourself. So try to balance that out. That's Vesta in the fourth house. Vesta in the fifth house. You want to make sure that you are the best you can be. You want to shine. You want to get this public recognition. You want to show your creative side, your creative self. But you also want to, you're doing this for the attention that you're doing it for, is like for your dates, your romantic stuff. Like you want to, you feel like you got to be gussied up, and you got to be that trophy for that guy or that girl, and or anything that you're creative in, and you want people to recognize it, and you want to shine in that area. The only thing about that, though, when Vesta being in your fifth house, it's like a weakness, or you're sacrificing. You got to choose between yourself and you're getting this public recognition, and you being who you are creatively, and romance. Like, which one is more important? And it's usually you're choosing back and forth, but you're committed to everything about yourself, everything about your creative self, your beauty, your talents, or even with your children. And then you can sacrifice, like, okay, I could go out on dates and everything, but I have to focus on my kids, if you have children. But it's basically your creativity, and where you want to shine, and where you want people to look at you and notice you and stuff like that. But you're always constantly going through this battle of which one to choose. And I want to create. You want to creatively express yourself, or you want romance. So yeah, that's in the fifth house. Now, Vesta in the sixth house, do I really gotta tell y'all? Well, Vesta in the sixth well, if you have Vesta in your sixth house, you are a, yes, workaholic. And you try to pursue more simpler ways, more easier ways to build a better mousetrap for what? For work. Also, on how to, you could be a more service at work. You could be more service to people at work, and how, what's the best way for me to serve a person, or do something for somebody on a daily basis. Of course, what happens when you work so hard and you don't take time for yourself, your weakness and your sacrifice can be your health. Your health can suffer. Your sleep schedules can suffer, because you're not worrying about sleep. You like, I sleep when I'm dead. You're not worrying about that. You're really sacrificing your own self by trying to make these goals, and trying to make everything work, and trying to make everything perfect, and constantly analyzing, and building, and shutting down, and making it simpler, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you eat. Make sure you take care of yourself, because that's in your sixth house will make you to be a workaholic. So that's Vesta in the sixth. Vesta in your seventh house. Yes, I know. Your main concern is your relationship with whoever and however, whatever situation is in, but it's usually in your relationships. You're dedicated to relationship. You don't want the relationship to end. You want harmony. You want to create harmony, and you are dedicated to that. And people will actually tell you how dedicated you are. Even if it's like to your detriment, you will still do it. And it's a good thing, and it's not so good, because you sacrifice, and you're kind of dependent on relationships. And what do you want to do with your life? Who are you? And who, what are you doing for yourself? And I know you hear that a lot, but you have to find a balance in that. When you're doing both energy, it's like similar to the first house, where they are looking for themselves and who they are, and identify themselves, and don't share with others. Well, you got to do the reverse. Vested in your eighth house. Well, with vested in your eighth house, you're you're dedicated, committed to, you will swear your life on finding this person who matches your intensity. You don't understand why they don't. You don't understand why they don't understand that you have to be loyal to a fault. You got to be really committed in your relationship, and you got to make sure that the person matches your intensity. It matches your dedication. It matches your loyalty. And so what happens is, because you're dedicated to this type of relationship with other people, and that's your purpose, and you feel like is really important, what can happen in your relationships, they become very toxic, and they become very unhealthy, because what you're asking for in a relationship that will match you is very unrealistic. Now, you might find somebody that match you and your intensity, but it's always going to be slightly different, because people look at things differently, of course. But with vested in your eighth house, you will have like kind of unequally yoked relationships, because you're looking for somebody to sexually connect to, be really deep into the relationship, and everybody's not like that. So you're gonna have toxic relationships, or you could be the one that's bringing toxicity, is that the word, in your relationship. So yeah, just watch out for that, because you don't want to constantly not have a relationship and saying that people not loyal and people this and people that, because you don't know how to build a healthy relationship. So balance that out. So vested in your ninth house, you're compelled to look for the freedom of religion. You're on a quest. You're on a search for the truth in a thing, and you can go to highest realms of it. Your philosophy is filled with this optimism, and to spread more, and to gain more knowledge, and then you get this knowledge, and you have this higher knowledge, and you're compelled to do that. What your weakness could be, though, and what you could sacrifice, is that you will feel like you are the ultimate answer, that because you study and research and you have this natural born thing to understand where people should go in their life, in their spiritual nature, their education, or their philosophy should change. Like, they will look at you really weird and really funny if they think that your philosophies are not deep enough, or not serious enough, or not high enough, and that you limit yourself, and they would tell you that, and they would kind of judge you on that, or you would judge other people if it's your vested in the ninth house. So to balance that is, go ahead and continue to study and reach to the highest of the high, because you're compelled to do that. But meet people where they are and help people to grow if they ask for your help. If they don't ask for your help, don't judge them. Don't be judgy. Vested in your 10th house. If you have vested in your 10th house, you are compelled to do something where you could be seen and you could be known and you can leave your mark. So you're always reaching for a goal. You feel it's very, very important to you that you work on a goal and you reach for a goal and you make it higher. So it's in your career, or the thing you go for, like it could be something in the community or something like that, but it's something where you could be recognized and what you be remembered for. Now, the weaknesses in that is that it's very hard to define which particular goal that you should obtain. You feel like, I should be famous. I should be known for something. I have this gift. I have this skill. I have this talent. I have something that I should be recognized for. But because you have all of these goals and you reach so hard for them and you are good at different things, you get confused and you don't really do anything. It's like very hard for you to pin down something. So you got to balance that out. And of course, if you have too many choices, of course, you got to figure out which choice. And I know that's your vested and that's your weakness, and you can work that out. I'm sure you can. So yeah, that's vested in the 10th. Vested and the 11th house. All right. So yes, 11th house energy is like-minded individuals, networking, stuff like that. Yeah. But it's also about causes, and it's also about hopes and wishes, and not your dreams, but like what you really want out of life, and what do you hope for and stuff like that. So you're going to be into causes, and just Whoever have a Vesta in their 11th house, just understand that you will get ghosted. If you're dealing with someone with Vesta in their 11th house, you will get ghosted if they feel that you are not taking the cause. You're not joining into the cause or the fight or the injustice of something. Because Vesta in your 11th house, you are so compelled. You cannot just sit on the sidelines and see an injustice. You care about all people and all humanity, not really people, but being humane. Your weakness and your sacrifice, though, will be that you will actually ghost a person. And if these people do not want to follow your way, or you don't think that they are taking it seriously, you could just stop being friends with them and you could just stop dealing with them. And we know, I don't need to give no advice on that. We know that that's not right to do. You know, try to figure out a way that they could that they could join in so that they could be interested in what you're interested in as well. But that is your weakness. Vesta in your 12th house. With Vesta in your 12th house, sacrifice for other people. It don't matter if they're have mental health, they're poor, wherever you sacrifice and you give yourself to that person. And what happens? You lose yourself and you don't have any identity and you stay in isolation and you retreat from people. And you know you're not supposed to do that, but you're compelled to help. And you ask yourself the question all the time, why am I helping this person? I know I shouldn't have to do this. I know this person is hurting me. And you hurt yourself and then you isolate. And isolation turns into depression.